This is the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Shalom. I'm back again with another quick impromptu lesson through the Holy Spirit. Haruka Kodash, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. The honors and respect to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Honors and respect as well to the Akim that's out here pushing this truth in the name and the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, this article just came to my phone. It says Dr. F expects flood of vax mandos once the F Dizzle A gives jabs full approval. All right, so one of the enchantments that Esau has put out there, and they did this thing purposely. So when they had the jabs first come out, it was under what they call emergency authorization. So, you know, it pretty much didn't go through the whole F Dizzle A approval, which is just another one of Esau's sorceries, because pretty much things that have that approval on it in the minds of the people, this means that it's safe, it's good, when that's not necessarily the truth. And so Esau purposely will put different narratives out there. It's called the Hegelian dialect, where they put different narratives out there that they control. They want different narratives out there so that they can have full control of what comes next. When you go into that word government, it actually means mind control. Govern means to control. The ment means the mind, all right, mind control. And this is why it's funny, because the average person doesn't know who Esau and the Edomites are. They don't know who run this world. They just say the government. But this is them, and this is all about mind control, all right? And so what's about to happen is, matter of fact, let's read this. It says, the F Dizzle A issued emergency use authorization for the P and the M Jabos in December, allowing state and federal authorities to begin mass initiations programs for anyone age 18 or older, but it has since faced criticism for being slow to grant full approval of the jabs, despite clinical trials overwhelmingly proving the jabs are safe and effective. And see, when the FDA does come back and say, okay, it's safe and it's approved, guess what? Now there's not going to be any more excuses. So here it is. Dr. F expects a flood of, oh man, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this up. Because guess what? When this flood of mandates come, the Lord is going to have to, raise a standard. Isaiah 59:19, so shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. Because guess what? The elect who are going to be found to be faithful, all right, to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, they're not going to do this, all right? They're going to stand firm, right? And here it is, the governor of Georgia. I just got an alert, I think yesterday. He's saying he's asking for F Dizzle A approval as well. He wants them to go ahead and say, hey, you give them the green light, which they're gonna do it. And I predicted, my prediction of his prediction, so-called, is true. And they're not predicting anything. They're just putting things out there that they already know they're going to bring to pass. But really, the Lord is in control of this thing. And the Lord is going to bring this. Why? Going back to the precept we started with, Revelation 3 and 10. Because it's time for people to be tested. All right, the word of the Lord has been out here, right? Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. All right, now it's time for the world to be tried, which tried means to be tested. Now that word patience.
Strong's G 5281. Hupamane.
Hupomene, steadfastness, constancy, endurance, right? Endurance, right? And the Lord said in Matthew 24:13, he said, those that endure until the end, the same shall be saved. In the New Testament, the characteristic of a man who is not swerved from his deliberate purpose and his loyalty to faith and piety by even the greatest trials and suffering. So the Lord said, because you stood fast, with this gospel, with this testimony, because you were unmovable. Guess what? I'm going to keep you from this. I'm going to make a way. I'm going to raise the standard for you when they say you can't go into to those grocery stores unless you know what I'm saying? And it's not going to stop here. It's going to get worse. All right, because as Klaus Schwab and the other people within that circle are saying now, they're telling you we're in the new world order. They're saying, hey, this is what it is. We're here now. He said on video, we're not going back to the way. He said people think in their minds that we're going back. He said, no, we're not. We're not doing that. Verse 11, behold, I come quickly, hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. Because while holding this testimony and standing firm on it, this is going to lead to salvation. All right. And actually a physical crown too. A physical crown this is going to lead to. So let's look at, be expecting that to come further down. Now, it's funny because you had this, you got a big protest going on in the St. Vincent Islands. I'm going to go ahead and play this clip. Them Atlanta water boys be aggressive as hell. And they set up, the Atlanta water boys, they set up right over there where my camp spot at. They got two little spots right over there near where I be posted up at. See if I can find, here it is. Now check this out. So this is in St. Vincent, which is one of the Caribbean islands. All right. This is the tribe of Benjamin. All right. These are Israelites as well from the tribe of Benjamin that inhabit those Caribbean islands. Oh, and by the way, huge protest breaks out on island of St. Vincent's over forced initiations. Prime Minister hospitalized with head injury. Yeah, because they was about to kill his ass, man. See, they ain't playing the radio out there. They ain't docile like Jake is over here in the States. But let's play a little bit more.
They go see him. Oh no! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh Lord!
Somebody just bust the Prime Minister's head with a stone. Somebody just hit the Prime Minister in his head with a stone. I don't know if the stone guys.
By the way, that's 2nd Esdras and 15 coming to pass, by the way. Let's get that since I'm close to it. 2nd Esdras 15, verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their powers of their actions shall stand in their power. Let's look at that word, sedition. All right, that's what that is. Sedition, rebellion, uprising, revolt, concerted attempt to overthrow civil authority, violent strife. See that? And so, with the president, or the prime minister rather, he had to go get hospitalized because he had head injury because of those protesters. So we're seeing sedition amongst men now, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And the prime minister would be an example of the king, or the prince, right? Now let's look at how the media is wording this. Now look at this. It says St. Vincent PM, Prime Minister recovering in hospital after rock attack by anti-jab protester. This is BBC News, same thing. Hit during anti-jab mandate protest. So, The Guardian says the same thing. They're saying it was an anti-jab protester. Now, wait a minute. Now, here on World Star Hip Hop, it says that the protest was over forced jabs. It don't mean that the people are anti-jab. They just could be against forcing it, making this thing mandatory. Because when we say force, somebody can be simple and say, forcing what comes to mind, or when you say force, is somebody tying you down and strapping your arm to a belt and putting it in you against your will. That ain't forcing. What they're doing is they're forcing you in a subtle covert way. It might not be covert, it might be a different word, but I can't think of the word. But they're doing it in a way where they're not having to physically do it. In New York is a good example of New York is a really good example of that now, actually, because in New York, beginning in a few weeks, they already said it. You can't come into restaurants, into fitness centers, and establishments all throughout the city unless you have it. So that's a way of forcing people to do it. That's coercion. You're forcing people. You take jobs, which also I wanted to mention because I was watching these beautiful brothers here, the Men of Valor camp in New Jersey, and they had a Jake that was out there, listening, and he was out there with him for a minute. He sounded like he was a sincere Jake, and he told him that he did get the jab, but he did it because he needed to get another job. You know what I'm saying? So, that's a form of forcing. Why do you need a job? You need a job so that you can pay rent and put a roof over your head. You know what I'm saying? So if you tell people, hey, you can't get this job unless you jabbed up, then that's a way of forcing things on you. And that's what the people are protesting. They protesting that. They ain't protesting it because they are against jabs in general. But see how the media is spinning that? St. Vincent Prime Minister injured in an anti-jab protest. So what they're going to end up doing is making it seem like these anti-jabbers are a problem. They're violent. They're making death threats. They're hurting people. These people must be stopped. They're violent conspiracy theorists, etc. So this is just something to be mindful of and to pay attention to. But just keep in mind that the Lord said, because we have kept the word of the patience, which that goes into being obedient to this thing, just being obedient and being faithful. I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. In the NLT, it says, I will protect you from the great time of testing that will come upon the whole world. And it's spiritual. It's funny because Esau, he began this thing with wanting to test everybody. He began saying everyone needs to get tested, right? But here it is, the Lord is saying, I will protect you from the great time of testing that will come upon the whole world to test those who belong to this world. So the Lord is going to see who's of this world and who's of him. You see what I'm saying? So just something I wanted to go into real quick. As long as we continue to be faithful and hold on, hold fast that which we have, the Lord is going to work for us. All right, giving all praise to Yahweh Shem. Shalom, Lord willing, this was edifying. I pray it was. Shalom.